Hey guys, it's Charlie here. We are back with another video and this time I'm very excited to show you Fragments, Arturia's powerful granular processor-based effect that can alter your sounds in ways never imagined before. During the tutorial, we will go through its features and demonstrate how great it can sound. Fragments takes the complex concept of granular synthesis and turns it into a flexible, accessible and musical tool for the fearless sound explorer. It allows you to deconstruct and spice up any audio with the power of granular synthesis, allowing you to excite any sound in a fresh, modern way, no matter what style of music or genre you're working with. On top of that, Fragments is also equipped with top-notch modulators, allowing you to keep your grains always in motion, as well as multiple FX slots to elevate any project with glitchy stutters, grainy stereo ambience, and original timbral textures. Let's go! The basic structure of the effect consists of 4 blocks of modules. The first one is the buffer, which is constantly filled with incoming audio, making it ready for alteration. Then, you can see the grain capture module, which defines how grains inside the buffer are captured. The other modules are the grain release module, which provides the granular engine functions, and the FX module that comes with advanced panner and 2 more slots with multiple effect types. On top of that, Fragments offers a complex advanced panel, which I will cover later on this video. The buffer is at the top of the Fragments main interface. It consists of a waveform visualizer, which represents the incoming audio and shows what part of it is affected by the granular manipulation. It also includes the buffer length, freeze, clear, and playhead retrig functions, accessible every time you hover above the buffer with your mouse. The visualizer itself is key to understanding how the audio is affected by the granular augmentation. Here's why. When I play my instrument with Fragments on it, we will see the audio waveform and a few colorful markers or lines on it. The quickly moving yellow markers represent the activity of the granular engine itself, visualizing the alteration of the particular grains. Depending on the granular parameters settings, the yellow markers will behave differently. For example, if I increase the grain density and size controls, we will see more yellow lines occurring on the visualizer, pointing to a higher rate and a bigger size of grains generated in the particular location of the waveform. And vice versa, like this. Another important function in the buffer is its buffer length function, which allows you to extend the length of the buffer up to 4 bars with 1/8 bar as minimum. You might want to use this function if you need to introduce the granular mangle only to a small part of your audio, or vice versa. It all depends on what you decide to do. Sometimes a 4-bar audio part might be more suitable because it might offer more audio elements you can treat with a granular engine. Another exciting feature is the freeze button, which allows you to freeze a part of your sound at any time and apply the granular engine only to that part while still being able to play your original sound on top of it, creating nicely moving backgrounds for your solos or other instruments. This part of the effect also offers 2 macros called Intensity and FX for performative actions. The left side of the visualizer comes with feedback amount, grain volume, and grain mix. The feedback defines how much of the granular engine output is re-injected to the buffer. The grain volume determines the granular engine output volume, and the grain mix defines the balance between dry and granulated signal, like this. The little lock next to the grain mix preserves your mix setting across all the presets, while the master volume sets the output level of the whole effect. The next module we'll explore is the grain capture. This module defines the position of where the grains are picked up on the incoming audio for further manipulation. It has 3 modes: speed, offset, and manual. In the speed mode, the main knob sets a ratio between the grain capture playhead speed and the recording head. In the offset mode, the speed of the grain capture marker is always the same as the incoming audio marker, but the offset knob introduces the synchronized or unsynchronized delay between these two, like this. In the manual scan mode, the grain capture playhead doesn't move at all. Its position depends on the value of the manual scan knob, allowing you to manually set the position of where the grains are going to be captured, like this. What's really cool is that the grain capture feature also comes with randomization capabilities. You can find the spray function, also called random start, as the yellow color around the main knob. You can set it to a positive value, a negative value, or it can be bipolar. When you apply this function to your sound, the grain capture position will be randomized in all 3 modes. Moving on to the next module, let's look at the grain release. The grain release module is where you can find all the granular engine parameters and where the most creative grain manipulation occurs. It works in 3 modes: classic, texture, and rhythmic. There are 3 major controls to explore here. The first one is density. This rate can be defined either in hertz or subdivisions when synced to the master tempo, including triplets and dotted modes. In a nutshell, it can sound like this. The lower values will serve you well when coming up with more rhythmic results, while the very high values will be great for creating shimmering tones and textures. Right next to the density knob, you can find the size control. This one simply defines the length of each grain, which you can set either in milliseconds or using subdivisions when synced to the master tempo, including triplets and dotted modes, like this. These 2 controls can also be linked together. When the link is enabled, the size is expressed as a ratio of the density. The last control available in the classic mode is the pitch control. It can affect the pitch of the granulated audio in many different ways, allowing you to tap into a huge scope of creative outcomes. Thanks to the scale drop-down menu, the pitch of the grains can be altered chromatically, in octaves, and in many other scales, such as major, minor, Dorian, Dylan, Phrygian, or Mixolydian. This is a great tool because it allows you to create different layers of sound very easily. Now, let's hear a few examples of this dynamic. We'll set various pitch values in different scale modes and increase the grain mix to hear the variety of results. The functionality of the granular engine controls can be greatly enhanced by introducing randomization into the mix. To do that, simply hover over them and create a yellow color by clicking and dragging in the knob's gray ring to the left or right like this. With density, this action will randomize the rate at which new grains are generated. With size, it will randomize the length of the grains, and with pitch, it will randomize the pitch in relation to the currently selected scale. It's important to know that randomization can only be either positive or negative for density, while for size and pitch, it can also be bipolar. You can set the bipolar value by activating both the plus and minus icons next to the knobs. The grain release module offers two more modes which were designed to satisfy a huge variety of sound design purposes. The texture mode has a set of settings that's great for creating continuous textures and drones made from continuous flow of very short grains. It's different from the classic mode by the layers control that sets an automatic ratio compensation between size and density. In this mode, the grain size is always linked to the density. Let's hear a few examples of how this mode can create lush, drony textures. In contrast, the rhythmic mode is used for the more rhythmic granular alterations. It'll be great at mangling the drum loops or adding rhythmic layers to soft, pad-like sounds. In this mode, the density turns into a sec rate control, which defines the rate of the rhythmics mode sequencer. The sequencer is fully visible in the advanced panel mode. Sec rate control time divisions are synced to the tempo, including triplets and dotted modes. Let's listen to this pad sound being transformed into a rhythmic layer with the rhythmic mode on. As you can see, we can change the sec rate divisions, but we can also hear that within each grain step there are certain rhythmic alterations. This is because the steps have the step repeat function enabled. We'll cover that in the advanced panel chapter. At the end of the main panel view, there are three effects you can use. The first one is the panel effect, which allows you to manipulate the stereo image of the granulated signal. The two remaining FX slots can be used to insert delay, reverb, compressor, filter, distortion, chorus, and flanger effects. The first effect we'll explore is the advanced pan effect. Its goal is to distribute the wet grain signal across the stereo field, introducing movement between the left and right channels, and much more. Let's hear how cool this can sound. In the basic view of the instrument, the effect offers a visualizer that shows the current position of the signal in 4 dimensions, left and right, as well as far and near. The spatial effect of the signal being further or closer is achieved by using a combination of volume and filter manipulations. The panel also offers 9 trajectory presets, which impact the way that the signal moves across the stereo field. There are a few more controls to discover here, and we'll cover these in the advanced panel part. The last two elements in the basic panel view are the two FX slots that allow you to impact the feedback signal, the dry and wet signal, or the wet signal only. Each FX slot offers the dry-wet control, arrows to replace the FX slots into a different order. Let's listen to a few presets that utilize these various effects. On top of all the great features, Fragments also offers the advanced panel with even more features that will elevate the way you can use this creative effect. To enter the panel, press the Advanced button in the top right corner of the interface. Once the new panel unfolds, we have access to features such as grain quantization, extra controls in the grain release section, as well as more controls for each effect and a rich modulation section. We will now cover each of these separately. The grain quantization feature triggers grains at very specific locations within the buffer. It operates in three modes: off, transient, and grid. In the transient mode, grains are triggered according to the transients that are detected within the buffer and displayed to the user. In this mode, the playhead moves from one transient to the other at a rate defined by the speed offset manual scan knob. Let's listen to how the transient quantization mode sounds in comparison to applying no quantization at all. On top of that, you can use the sensibility knob to set a minimum threshold for the transient detector. In the grid mode, the grid splits the buffer, resulting in different starting points to generate grains based on time divisions. Just like in the transient mode, the speed offset manual scan knob defines the rate at which the playhead jumps from one step to the next one. You can use the grid size knob to determine if the buffer splits in 8, 16 or 32. Another exciting set of features in the advanced panel are placed in the grain release module. One of these is the 3D visualizer that shows the behavior of the grains according to the density, size and width controls, but also additional sound shaping controls such as width, grain direction, grain crush, grain shape, and random fine. The grain width control simply offsets the randomized parameters in the stereo field for a wider sound. This means that parameters such as random fine, random size, and spray can be distributed randomly across the stereo image like this. Another cool control is the grain direction. This one defines the chance of the grains being played back forward or backward. You will notice that as I will start decreasing the control's position from 100% to the left, some of the grains will be triggered backwards, resulting in this very cool sound. We can further edit the grain's tonal character with the grain crush control, which will add a bit crush effect to them. This control is based on algorithms mimicking the behavior of famous samplers such as the CMI or the emulator, sounding like this. Grains can also be triggered according to various volume envelopes, which will have a crucial effect on the way they sound over time. The grain shape control includes some of the volume envelope shapes, all at different curves, allowing for different rhythmic modulations. Let's listen to a few of these. What's cool is that each shape can be modified thanks to the grain shape parameter. To use it, simply press the control and move the mouse left or right. On top of that, the random fine control adds randomization to the pitch of the grains in Sense. Our last bit of guidance for the advanced panel is that the grain release rhythmic mode has been enhanced with a dedicated sequencer, which is locked with the sec rate control that we looked into earlier. This means that when you're in the rhythmic mode, you can define the length of the sequence, add repetitions to each step, and also define the direction of the sequence from forward through backward to forward and backward and random. What's also new in the advanced panel are the extra controls for each FX slot. In the FX 1 and 2, we will see more controls appearing per each effect, allowing for further editing of the effect settings. For delay, we can see parameters such as time, feedback, width, or fine available, while for the delay, these are the size, pre-delay, decay, damping, or width. This also applies to all the remaining effects such as distortion, compression, filter, and modulation effects. Perhaps the most important set of settings appears in the advanced panel effect. Here we gain access to the rate of the stereo motion and the amount which sets how widely the grains can move from left to the right channel. We can also add randomization of the grains in the stereo field or use the distance control, which sets how far the grains can move from near to far. Let's play this cool sound to see how various controls of the advanced panel impacts the original sound. As you can hear, this adds a lot of possible solutions to apply and elevate your stereo image sound management. The final part of the effect is made out of two performative macros which you can use to modulate many parameters at once for dramatic effects, as well as 3 function generators, 1 envelope follower, and a sequencer. All this creates a really strong set of modulators. The macro controls are straightforward. These are visible in the top left corner in the buffer area. You can increase the value of each of the knobs to hear the changes that occur within the sound. These are always pre-mapped in the default presets, but you can also map the macros by yourself to make the sound more unique to you. To do so, simply press the macro 1 or 2 buttons. Then, to create a routing, simply hover your mouse over the control that you want to add to your macro and create a color around it by dragging the mouse into either a positive or a negative value. You can repeat this process with a few controls. Right next to the macros, there's a real sound design treat. 3 function generators which you might know from our V collection or Pigments instruments. These serve as another modulation source and can be summed up as something between an LFO and envelope. Using these, you can create different periodic shapes which can be sent to various parameters. You can modulate almost any parameter within the Fragments interface with various rates. The rates can be free running or synchronized to the master tempo. One of its uses could be to draw a simple shape that could be called a modified sine wave shape, set it to an unsynchronized tempo, and apply it to the density of the grain release module. Let's hear how it will change the sound. We can hear that every time the function's shape reaches the top, it changes the value of the density control very rapidly, resulting in this interesting shimmering tone that matches the function's rate. This enhances our original sound by introducing movement into it. On top of that, each function generator comes with a few handy preset shapes to use as well as many editing options. This lets you change the shape from centered to bipolar, randomize the shape's amplitude, or change the function's scaling. The last two modules are the sweet-sounding cherries on top of the already advanced effect. The envelope follower creates an envelope based on the waveform shape of the input signal or the external sidechain signal. You can use it as the modulation source in a similar manner as the function generators. You can define its threshold level with the sensitivity control, as well as its attack and release value with the rise and fall controls. You could easily use the sidechain and the snare as the envelope follower audio source and attach it to the grain release size control. With the correct rise and fall and sensitivity setting, we can now hear that each time the snare hits, the size value goes up, making the grains longer, all in sync with the master tempo. Pretty cool! You can use any sound as a sidechain source and experiment to see what works best for you. The last element of the modulators section is the sequencer. The sequencer produces modulation changes based on steps. It has 16 steps, and within each step we can decide on the modulation amount. An interesting use of this sequencer would be to create an 8-step long sequence with various values per step and attach it to the pitch control. This allows us to have quantized modulation of the pitch thanks to the pitch control being set to fifths, sounding like this. To take this modulation further, we can change the direction of the sequence, randomize each step's value, and also change the rate of the sequence. There are a few other interesting controls available, such as smoothing the value of each step or defining the output as centered or bipolar alongside scaling the output of the sequencer. Alright, that's all for this tutorial. Hopefully it helped you understand the fragments effect and got you excited about the creative potential of this tool. Make sure to explore it on your own to see what sound horizons it opens up for you. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the Arturia YouTube channel. Thanks for watching and see you soon!